Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to see and interview Daniela again. Hi, Daniela.
Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for having me here again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. Absolute pleasure to see you again after what we said, 2 years.
I think so, yeah.
Crazy. Can you tell us what you do, who you are, and
See,
what you do?
of course, thank you. So I'm Colombian. I am a positive psychologist, which means I studied for the past 10 years what works for the human being when they do have emotional health. Regular psychology tended to look into the research behind what happened with the human being when they did not have emotional and mental health. So, like, they studied illness, and I studied health. And the past 3 years, I've focused on a methodology that now I call REB, which is Reason, Emotion, and Body,
Oh, wow.
where I've been combining teaching about positive psychology and emotional intelligence skills to different leaders in corporations and people, and with an emotional imprint with the generative AI imagery. That when we met, I was starting with that as well.
Yeah,
And now I combine that also in the experience with breathwork sessions. So all of that helps me to enhance the rational, emotional, and body memory for the wholeness of the experience. And well, that's what I'm doing now.
wow. It sounds very impactful, and I know I've seen your work, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So, really excited to talk about this topic. So, yeah, you chose today positive psychology and AI, creating leadership and innovation. Can you tell
Yeah.
us more about that and why you chose it for today?
See, absolutely. So the past 2 years and a half, I've been measuring what happens when we create experiences for leaders to learn about leadership, emotional intelligence skills, vision, strategy, communication, the classic ones, combined with this emotional and body training, as well as we do that as a group. And it has been fascinating not just to use AI in service of the human emotion, which is my priority, that all technology is involved prioritizing the human being that will be impacted with it, but also to see the effects of collective efficacy when they do this together within 2 to 4 or up to 6 months, which is the groups that I've had. And I call this innovation because regularly, what I've seen, and in the times that I worked in HR, what happened with this kind of teaching experiences and trainings for leaders, it tended to be more into just knowledge and kind of master classes, couple of exercises here and there, and goodbye. And there would be
Mm,
measurement, there would be no emotional, true connection with the experience. And technology now is allowing us to create a bit more of emotion in that. I'm not just talking about AI. Um, and also to create more accountability within them as they join together in the journey. So, so see, that's
mm.
why I chose this topic, because I really want to continue the mission that I've had since you met me and before,
Yeah.
of being a bit of a voice of hope that we can actually adapt to technology and use it, but prioritizing the human being first, rather than the possibilities in the technology development.
Amazing. We've just got a question actually from Tom. Hi, Tom. How are you doing? Tom says, "Can AI actually enhance? Sorry, can AI actually enhance human creativity and emotional intelligence in leadership?"
I don't think AI can. I think humans using AI properly can, which is a
Mm,
different statement, right? AI
yes.
by itself, one of the things that is as farther from is to actually be sentient, to actually understand emotions, not from not only from an information perspective, but from a social construct perspective. And emotions, though they can be felt similarly by every human being, the reasons and the narrative behind how those emotions are felt and how they combine each other within groups is something that AI is not close to do. It's one of the things that is farther from doing. That's also why I appreciate being a psychologist so much nowadays. But I do believe that because it supports getting knowledge faster, you can enhance creativity within your own skills. And this is one of the greatest ways of how I believe that positive psychology in a leadership that understands and wants to be wants to have literacy around AI could work, because it's telling you, if you are in my chance, for example, I am a psychologist. I'm not meant to be creative, but thank God, because of the AI imagery that I started to use in 2022, I expanded my creativity in how could I engage more emotionally the people that train with me in positive emotion. So then, as in theory of positive psychology, they can perform better. So creativity is, in my perspective, the ways where we can place our strengths into the service of what we can do, visualizing and understanding other forms of solution. And AI can give you perspective and can give you a bit of a broadened ways of seeing those potential solutions. It is your strength and it is your criteria as the human being behind AI to actually use it with that criteria in service for testing those potential solutions. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. I mean, yeah, exactly. Humans are responsible for AI at the end of the day. And sometimes we hear this, don't we? Oh, look what AI is doing. It's going to destroy things. It's going to ruin things. It's like, hang on a minute. Who's behind AI? Well, I love what you're saying. I love it. And Scott, hi, Scott. Thank you for joining us. Scott says, how does AI tie into the concept of psychological flexibility and our
See,
ability to adapt to extremely new ways of working?
wonderful. Scott, thank you so much for your question. Here, there's something that is not me saying it. It's something that recently was said by Jensen Huang, which is the current CEO of NVIDIA. And he said, now we're being invited not to replace, but to understand differentiation between task and mission. And I'm saying this, it's because around positive psychology, it has already been proven the relevance of us having a clear purpose to actually move forward in our lives with higher resilience and higher physical and emotional well-being in distinct of the circumstances. So that gives psychological flexibility. Having said that, with AI, because it's being developed to being able to do so many operational tasks that do not have to be missional or purposeful, or that they're mostly operational, is an invitation to the human being to open up their flexibility in asking themselves the why behind their job, the
Oh,
mission
wow.
of their job. And it could be even finance, it could be accountants, it could be lawyers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like the why behind saving the world kind of why, but
Yeah.
definitely to have a clearer picture of impact and purpose. Before we did that because of well-being. And as a psychologist 10 years ago, when I was starting with positive psychology, my mission is a more compassionate world, and I knew how purpose could bring more well-being, and therefore for mirror effects, the people around someone with well-being will be better, right? But now with AI, even the CEO of NVIDIA is saying this is the time to reflect back on it, because everything else that tended to be operational can be done by something else that is getting better, being safer in that process. But our psychological flexibility to review ourselves, to review the why behind the jobs we are creating, will be then the best way through protecting these people as well. So I feel that our ability to adapt extremely in new ways of working will be directly connected with our ability to understand constantly the mission behind our job. He says, would you like to
Amazing.
read what he, yeah,
Yeah. So Scott says, so you're saying we have to have a sharper understanding of the why then we can use AI amazingly. But without a clear purpose, we may struggle and
See,
feel overwhelmed. Hmm.
see, that's exactly what I'm saying. And if you see the news, for example, everyone, Clawbot was out. Clawbot, do you know about Clawbot?
No, I don't. Tell us.
Okay. Clawbot is one of the recent agents AI that you connect to your computer, your data, and it does things for you.
Okay.
And because of that struggle and overwhelmness of people using AI without a purpose, but just to play around with it, or wanting to jump into the curve of me using AI, if that makes sense, they were not really understanding the why, the clear purpose behind it, which meant that they were not really understanding the frameworks that they needed to give and to review in the use of Clawbot. Now, agents like Clawbot have been proved to have a bit of a security matter of them making choices, as in, for example, I know this case scenario is true. I'm not sure if it's true from Clubbot itself, but from an agent similar to it, if not, which
Okay.
was, this was shared by Joshua Bengo, by the way, in Diary of CEO podcast. And one of these agents, the programmer was wanting to shut it off. And he understood that, and he found an email of the programmer potentially being unfair or unfaithful with his wife, and
Right.
started blackmailing the guy, like, if you shut me down,
Oh,
I'll publish this, right?
yeah.
So I mean, I'm saying this just because for us to actually use properly AI with the safety net that we want it, we have to be very much aware on the why behind it, for emotional purposes, for psychological safety, yes, but also for a clear exploration of the technology, because
Wow.
it's still with some risks. Also, another benefit of doing so in this order of line of thought, purpose first, then technology, it's because, as Scott is saying, one of the social emotions that we are having to manage more now is fear and FOMO and overwhelmness, because AI advances too fast. There's thousands of new tools every day. You're always like in the back end of managing those. There's even like AI in 28 days courses with like 20 different tools you
Yes,
can
I've
try
seen
in
so
30
many of
minutes, right? Like,
those.
and if you do that just to be in the upfront, honestly speaking, you will then in 6 months, that knowledge might not be even useful. And you might have lost time understanding exactly what you want to do and then finding the tool for that and exploring focused on that. And that focused attention and clear intention will allow you to adapt because the mission is higher than the technology. Did that make sense?
Amazing. Yeah, totally. I love what you're saying. And Scott has a comment. We're drowning in possibility, of course. For those who are drawn to experimentation, it's good for them. But for many, like me, it's overwhelming. And then I get scared of change. Hence, I asked about how important psychological flexibility is. You've said that exactly what we need is a clearer image of what we want to achieve to help us with the mountain of
See,
possibility. Thanks,
see,
Scott.
and actually, Scott, for most of people, it's overwhelming. I'm drawn
Yeah,
to experimentation, and as human beings, when we find something new, easy, and useful, we get ourselves in the rabbit hole. It's something that us humans do, especially if it becomes something that is, it could be about survival instinct. Survival in this means being perhaps our job security or something else. Um, so I
yeah.
would I would highly recommend, yes, be clear in the image of what you want to achieve, because if AI is shut down tomorrow for any reasons, for politics, is stopped, is like, there's a lot of high players saying, yes, please stop a bit of this brush. You will still have manners to open up creativity and keep going through the purpose, and that's what will keep you healthy anyways.
Interesting. So, yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I've got another question here over on YouTube. Hi Tara, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. She says, "Will AI change what we mean by good leadership in the future?"
Will AI change what we mean by good leadership in the future? Is that the
Yes,
question?
yes.
um I feel that the good leadership meaning could be very broad. In my perspective, I'll frame that into service leadership. Service leadership
Okay.
is one of the concepts of leadership that I appreciate the most, because it is literally saying what happens when the leader is at service of their team and not the other way around. Okay? For me, and my mission being a more compassionate world, that would be a definition of good leadership. If that's so, and if we continue with the mindset of a technology driven world with a leadership based in positive psychology, which is part of service leadership, I'd say yes, it will adapt it, because again, it will give, for the person who chooses this mindset, it will give them the opportunity to know better their team in a human level, to have more
Mm,
time to create strategies to train their teams in having a better nervous system regulated, for example, to
yeah.
communicate purpose before tools, to be able to create practical, ethical stops of who's benefiting from this, who's being impacted, like the why are what's potential unintended costs for the tools that we're using in technology. Because then AI would be doing the emailing, the operational tasks, the accountability, the other things that leaders have to check on when they have to report to the people that they respond to anyways. So a leader in
Amazing.
service with less operational tasks because of AI would be able then to put themselves at service of the
Yeah.
human beings with them. It's a mindset. It could be chosen as a mindset. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it how it will be. I'm saying how I
No.
hope it will.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And have you got any, like, I don't know, one or two or three or as many as you can, simple habits that leaders can, this is like my question, that leaders can start today to lead with more optimism and innovation? So, like the small things
See,
that leaders can do. Hmm.
first, for those leaders, I would choose the one next minimum objective that I want to have, like the minimum viable objective that I want on why learning how to use generative AI. It could
Okay.
be Claude, it could be OpenAI, it could be Gemini, whatever works for you, Copilot. But don't just play around it because of it. Understand what's the next minimum viable action objective that I want to learn with this, because we need comfortable leaders with AI without fearing it,
Mm,
actually testing it out with an objective first. So then the generations above them, especially the young ones, don't see them as close minded, as not trusting their criteria, not trusting their curiosity and creativity. And that will close the trust gap between them and allow them to have better conversations, not only about technology, but about actually the mission of the role. Those gaps of
lovely.
my superior does not know anything and he doesn't really want to try it out and he's just kind of bluffing things here and there, for these generations that they grew up with YouTube available and information available, is crucial in relationship building. So that would be one habit. 20
Okay.
minutes, 15 minutes per day after reading, use AI, use generative AI for any specific objective that you want to turn around to get more comfortable.
Amazing. Okay.
Breath work, super important. Breath work has more and more data on how quickly it can support us to regulate our emotional system. And with a better nervous system regulated, we will be able to make better decisions because of our brain body budget. It could be, I recommend highly breath work called, this is in Spanish in my brain.
That's okay. You can say it in Spanish.
Coherencia cardíaca is, it's like brain heart coherence. I'll say it that way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, so brain heart coherence is a breath work where you in in your in your inhaling and exhaling with your nose. You
Okay.
inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it, for like those four tasks within the same amount of seconds. The more this regulator, the more uncomfortable you feel with emotions, the long as you should be doing so in seconds.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For teams, what I suggest is that before any difficult conversations, if you could do it before one meeting per day in the mornings, at least as a habit, 5 seconds is enough. 5 rounds, meaning doing five times, that will allow you to already set your amygdala ready for a day that could be less tensional than usual. And that added up creates collective efficacy, meaning everyone has a
Mm,
bit of a better amygdala to hold on into the day and harder conversations and better decision making. That's another habit.
brilliant. Okay. No, before we maybe there's another habit. Let's see. I've got a comment here. So Scott just says Google used to have the 20% rule. Thank you, Scott. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about
See,
that. And Barry says, "Hi, Barry. Thank you for joining." Barry was on my live last week. Using AI as now an accountability partner has allowed me to create and launch a project to over 400 schools in just 1 week. It consistently challenges my motives and whether it's a priority. The key for me was training the AI to understand its role of keeping me on task and deadline focused. Teaching the AI its role and skills has been far more beneficial than simply asking for answers to questions. Hmm,
see,
interesting.
if you see there, or what I would say from Barry's comment is potentially what happens there is that the project and the mission of the project of Barry on getting those two schools was strong enough for him, and he understood the mission enough for him
Yeah,
to teach the AI with that criteria and therefore have something successful.
yeah.
Am I
Brilliant.
making sense? Like, I really
Yeah.
want to double click on that because that's the mindset we want to expand in benefits for the one who's using it.
No, brilliant, brilliant. And thank you so much, Barry, for that comment. And hi, Scott, again. Scott says maybe giving ourselves permission to play around might be good.
See, with
Thank
purpose
you.
first, but see.
Yeah. I think, yeah, always exploring is always good. No, thank you, Daniela. So, Daniela, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this topic that we haven't talked about that's important
See,
before we go?
just one last thing, and
Yeah,
is because of the overwhelmness on technology and the lack of purpose, we are in the bridge of really having to take care of burnout. And I want
yeah.
to flag this in because if we keep on the mindset that we've been discussing in this brief conversation about purpose first, about allowing the space for the ethical process of reviewing the emotional unintended costs of the decisions that we're making in leadership in the AI area, and what are the space of learning that we're giving and of being in contact with the purpose that we're giving our teams. If we do that, we will reduce the probability of burnout. And within the experiences that I hold on emotional training and leadership training, the past year, just the past year, I got to reduce burnout in average 8%,
Wow.
which doesn't seem like a lot, but for the people behind the training felt like a lot.
Definitely.
And it's just a combination of, honestly, emotions, having a better habit building as we do breath work, and having a clear why behind everything we're learning every day can't keep down purpose. That's the combination of passion, courage at work, and clear purpose. It's less burnout. So in this area, it's very important to have that equation clear and ask ourselves, if we do have people in charge and in our own lives, how much are we having that conversation?
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, one more question. So, what would be the first step people should take? The first step.
For burnout.
Yeah, and for creating leadership with innovation.
Okay. I'd say the first minimum viable step is clear up what's the mission of your role and of the role of the people behind you, the mission of the role.
Oh, I love
After
that.
that, you will review what's the pain for that mission, and within
Yeah.
that clear pain, what can AI do for me to keep that pain down,
Mhm.
prioritizing the mission.
Brilliant.
Does that make sense?
Yes, very powerful questions. I don't know if you can write those questions on the post. That would be amazing, because those questions, yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you. It's been absolutely lovely talking to you and learning from you as always. How can people find you?
Thank you. People may find me in LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram as Daniela C Merlano, as it's in the tag name down here. And that would be it. Super approachable. If you need or have any other questions, just write me a DM. I'll be happy to help as I can.
Amazing. If you can put any information, any links on the post so people can just click, that would be amazing. And thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you have any other questions about this topic, please message Daniela directly or on the post, and I will see everybody next week. Thank you so much, Daniela.
Thank you.